So one day I decided to take a break at the swimming pool. This is because I got a huge L from not being able to make an airplane that sends presents. This video is actually not supposed to exist, but because I couldn't make the airplane fly, and Christmas is coming real fast, and I didn't have time to fix the broken airplane or the airplane that can't fly, because well, that airplane is basically hopeless, and I couldn't send presents with it. So I looked at the water, and I realized something. I could just make a boat that sends presents instead of an airplane. So these are the components in order to make the boat. These components might change over time, so without further ado, let's get started talking about it. So the first component on our list is the ESP8266, which is basically a microcontroller like the Arduino Uno, but it's bumped up with Wi-Fi, and that's how we're gonna control the boat from our phone, and we can use it from afar. Connected to the ESP is the servo motor, which is basically a type of motor that can only turn 180 degrees range of motion, and that's basically enough to turn left or right or deliver the presents. In order to propel the boat forward, we're gonna use the dynamos that are salvaged from the broken plane, and yeah, I guess it's good enough in order to propel the boat. Connected to the dynamos, we're gonna use a switch in order to turn them off and on. For the batteries, we're gonna use a AAA battery and also a power bank, which is going to be connected to the ESP8266, and then the batteries are for the dynamos. And yeah, that's basically all our component list. But I'm also gonna use CAD in order to make the materials and the frame of the boat. But I don't have a 3D printer because I don't need no 3D printer, because this video is sponsored by PCBWay. PCBWay is a top-notch quality PCB manufacturing company that have a very good price range for their very high quality services. Whether you're a hobby creator or a professional, they got you covered. They got PCB manufacturing, PCB assembly, 3D printing, component sourcing, and even more. They probably also have CNC machining, but yeah. And so, thanks PCBWay for sponsoring this video. So, for the plan and how the boat actually works. Now for the plan, we're just going to make the boat first, because the last time I made the plane, I made the system first and then the plane, and I ran out of time. So we're gonna make sure the boat actually floats, and then after that we're gonna move to the system and we're gonna adjust everything. So that's how we're gonna make the boat in like less than 1 day probably. Now for the system, we're just gonna use an IoT based system. So we're gonna code the ESP8266 in order to talk with my phone through Blink IoT, which is basically a open source web thingy. I don't really know what that is, but whoever made it, they're they're the MVPs of this video, because without them I probably couldn't make this video. So yeah, first we're gonna make the boat, but how do we make the boat actually float? So I'm gonna move on to the explanation. Okay, so this is the explanation. Well, we're gonna make the boat float by putting it on water, right? So this is water. In order to make the boat float, we need to make it less dense than water. So per se, the density of water is 10, right? 10. And the formula of density is mass times not times, per volume, because like this is an area, there's how much volume is inside the area, and that's how dense it is, because density is like how much colored. So this is more dense than this, because it's more full than whatever inside is this. There's still air gaps, and that's how you know it's dense, right? So yeah, per volume. This is, I think, raw, right? I just had a physics test like just now, and school is basically over, so this is just the start of holiday, and that's how I still remember this. 2 more days later, I'm gonna forget what this is. Okay, so back to the video. Density, alright. Per se, the mass mass is like 5, and then there's a volume of 5 too, so density is 1. Yeah, I'm using very easy numbers right now. Density of 1. This is less dense than water, so it floats. Now, in order to make the boat float even more, we're gonna add more area to it, more volume. So the more volume I add, right? So per se, the mass of the volume is only 1. So we're gonna plus 1 to this, plus 1 to this. Okay, so back into the explanation. We just got interrupted by some family members. Alright, so 5 plus 1, 6, right? Because the mass of this is 6. Mass equals 1, mass equals 1. Volume equals, per se, the volume is like, we're gonna plus like 6, right? The volume is 6 because like, there's more volume than there's mass because bottles are usually empty, right? So there's a lot of volume, but there's little mass. So volume is 6, so plus 6 to this. And then, wouldn't you look at that? It's not 1 anymore. It's almost half, right? It's almost half, right? Okay, we're gonna make it half. So this is 7, this is 7, and then boom, half. So this will become less dense, and that's where we're gonna make the boat float even more. So in case of the boat sinks, we're just gonna add some bottles to it, so it floats even more because half is less than 1, and 1 is less than 10. So like, you know, this is a huge gap. This is a huge gap right here. So yeah, that's how we're gonna make the boat float. Now for the system, we're gonna use an IoT-based system connected to our phone that's gonna control the servo motors, and after that the servo motors, and it's gonna control left or right. Okay, how we're gonna make the boat move forward? We're gonna just make a simple circuit. So like it's the battery, the motor, and switch. And that's a simple circuit right there. So yeah, that's basically it. And this is for the dynamos, this is for the turning left or right, and this is how to make the boat float. So basics, physics, crash course, whatever. Alright, the explanation is done. Now let's move on to the build, and we're gonna build the boat first. So cue the montage. So the montage starts with me making the plane because that's what I'm supposed to make at first, but then the plane didn't work like I said in the early stages of this video, so I changed to making a boat, and this is me making the plane in a montage, stuff like that. So yeah, enjoy. And then once I'm done making the plane, this happened. Boom, the plane crashes, and I was really depressed and stuff like that. And like, it's really hard to make a plane fly. I tried a lot of things, like, you know, like you see right now. I tried a lot of things, but none of them work. It's way too complicated, so I just think to myself like, okay, why don't we just change plans and make a boat? So then I retake the entire video, like almost the entire video, just so that way I can change the storyline to make it like me making a boat instead of making a plane. So yeah, that's what I did, and it works, so yay. Okay, so right now the boat is officially done, and yeah, the only thing we need to do left is to take it for a showcase. So yeah, this is the ending, and I don't really need to take this seriously. But conclusion, the boat sucks. Now the boat can't really turn left or right, and it's really inconsistent due to the Wi-Fi not being strong enough for my phone. But if I connect it to an actual Wi-Fi source, it would work properly. But like, come on, it's pretty inconvenient doing it here with my own phone hotspot. But that's what we got. So yeah. And the package part doesn't really work due to the power being really low. But if it did have a lot of power, it would have opened and closed easier, and I shouldn't have just demonstrated how it actually works. So I'm gonna put a video right here. Alright, so yeah, the video is kind of like that. That's how it actually works. It's supposed to go to someone, and after that it opens the door, and then the person gets the package. But, well, now we're here with limited power and limited Wi-Fi. So this is the boat, but it still is a boat since it still floats, it still moves, and it can be controlled, but it's just really inconvenient. And it still could deliver packages like the ant, but still, I don't know where I got that ant from, but I think it crawled on the boat while I was still preparing the cameras. But yeah, and it's raining right now. I gotta be home, so thanks for watching, and bye bye.